Hello and welcome to another Paramics Discovery video tutorial. And this is the first in a new type of video that we're producing. And it's going to be a longer form video tutorial than some of the ones we've done previously. And that means we're going to be able to go into topics in more depth and really explore them a bit more fully. So we're really interested to know if this is useful to you. Please comment on our support center or email us and let us know. We'll be producing more of these as we go along into the future. Now, the first one today, we're going to be drawing on a session that we did at our workshops in June this year, 2019, about scripting. And so I want to show you what we've got in terms of resources for using scripts within Paramics Discovery to really help you get going with it if you've never done that before. So the first thing I want to show you are the resources available on our support center. So you can see the support center homepage here, where there's lots of different things available to you to browse through and look at and learn about Paramics Discovery and find out the different services that we provide and so on. But I want to focus in today on what's available in terms of scripting in Paramics Discovery. So the first thing to draw your attention to is a scripting tutorial. That is located here on the support center. So if I click on that, and you can see that we have it in left-hand drive and right-hand drive as well. And then you can simply download that tutorial by clicking here, and you can see it downloading onto my computer. Now, if I go to my downloads folder and wait for that to come in, and I'm just going to extract those files so I can see them. So what you've got in the folder is a tutorial 3, and it's called Start Scripting. And you can see it's 48 pages, so there's lots in here to help you learn scripting in Paramics Discovery. Now also in the download, you will get an API reference. And we can see here, if I open that, the API reference is able to provide all details of what you can access in Paramics Discovery, and here's the key aspect of it here. So this is telling you everything that you can read and write within Paramics Discovery via the API. So some really useful information there in tutorial 3. The API reference, and I encourage you to get those and have a look through them. Okay, so I'm back now on the home page of the support center, and I want to show you another resource that we've got on there for using scripts in Paramics Discovery. So if I scroll down to the resources section, you can see that we've got this part which says script templates for Paramics Discovery. And by clicking there, you can see that there's 6 examples. Now we've chosen these examples based on some of the most common uses of scripts within Paramics Discovery, and they're really ways to make it easier for you to get started. So taking these templates and plugging them into your own models and giving you a really good starting point for getting your scripts going in Paramics Discovery. And that's what I want to focus on in this session. It's how do you take one of these templates, plug it into your own model, and use it and get some scripts running really quickly. Now you can see the different examples there. For example, one is where you've got a minor arm on demand, so that's where you would have a particular approach to junction which isn't called a signal control junction unless there's a vehicle present, and then it will get called. So hopefully the names of these will be fairly clear in terms of what they do. And the one we're going to use today and look at is example 3, the stage extension. So if I click on there and I then click on the file, and it's going to download that. So I'm going to go to my downloads folder, and I can see my example 3 stage extension. So let me just extract that and see what's in the folder. Okay, so we've got a few things in here. The Paramics Discovery model called stage extension.paramics, a settings file which goes alongside that model, and then another file called discovery.py, and we'll come on to what's in that file in a moment. Okay, so I'm going to open up my stage extension Paramics model, and I want to do that in version 22. So I'm going to go to Open With and open it up in version 22. Now the models that are on the Support Center are actually in version 19, but that's not a problem. You'll simply get this warning about upgrading a model, and I'm going to continue. So that's going to upgrade it to version 22, and it'll work fine in that version without any problems. Now you can see it's a relatively simple model here. We've got a crossroads with a signal control junction at the center. And we can tell that it's signal controlled by right clicking and going to edit signals. And we can see how the signal control works. So we've got 2 stages in here, stage 1 and 2. In stage 1 it's the east-west movement, and stage 2 the north-south movement. So a fairly simple junction for this example. And what the script is going to be looking to do is a stage extension. So it's going to be able to extend these stages, stage 1 and stage 2, when there's enough traffic to justify that. So as it detects vehicles in the simulation on approach to the junction, it will then extend that if they're detected. And they're detected on these items here, which are called detectors. So if I zoom in, I can select these, I can move them into different lanes or indeed onto different links, and I can also edit the name of them and so on. So there's 4 detectors in this model for this particular script. Now let's have a look at the script itself. So if I go to Model and Scripts, I can see in here one script called Vehicle Extension, and I can see it written. So I'll just zoom in. I'll extend that as well, so you can see how this script is written. Now we're not going to go into the detail in this session on exactly how this is written and how to build this up from scratch. The idea here is that we can identify the key information, and we can use this template in a model of our own. So we can see some of the key information in this script is the node number, so that's the signal control junction in the model where it's operating. We can see stage numbers here, so where the extending stage 1, where the current stage is 1, extending stage 2, the current stage is 2. And effectively what this is saying is if the current stage is 1 and there is some green left in stage 1, so of less than 3 seconds, so it's only in the final 3 seconds that it will extend the stage. If there's a vehicle detected on the detector, so this is one of the names of the detectors, or on this detector, which is the westbound one, then extend the current stage. Okay, so even if you don't know how to write something like this from scratch and how it all hangs together, you can still use this and make some key edits to get it to work in your own model. Now what you'll also notice in this script is that at the start there's this command here, which is import discovery. And what that means is it's importing this discovery.py file, which is sitting in the model folder as well. So let's have a quick look at that. I'll open it in Notepad. So this file includes various definitions of things, and it's essentially a shortcut where we can use this file for multiple models and not have to repeat this information in every script that we use. So it's got lots of different definitions in here. And again, you don't need to understand this fully, it's just learning how to use it and make the most of it. So one example of a definition which is going to be relevant in the model that we're looking at is this extend current stage definition. And you can see here that the extension is set to 3 seconds. So what we're going to be seeing as we extend the stage, which is one of the commands in the script, is it's always going to be extending it by 3 seconds each time. And we also know, because of this definition here of maximum stage time, that it will extend it up to 2 times the green time. So what we'll see is the stage extending, and then when it gets to twice as long as the original green time, it will stop and move to the next stage. So this discovery file is very useful to use in various different models using these definitions, and it means that you don't have to repeat this information in each script that you produce. Okay, so let me close that down, and I'm going to go back to my model. I'll close my script as well, and let's see this running. So in the Visualize tab, I need to make sure that I've got some demands in here. So I'll go to my custom control, choose demand set 1, and I need to make sure I choose my script, of course, and hit the space bar. Okay, looks like the traffic wasn't going to arrive until 8 AM, but now we've got it in the simulation. So you can see the traffic running. Now, if we want to see how the script is behaving, what we can do is use this signals panel, and you can access that through Visualize and Signals, and then you can pin it, just like pinning other panels. Now let's slow this down so we can actually see what's happening a bit more clearly. So what you'll notice as the simulation is running in the different stages, once it gets to the last few seconds of the stage, it begins to extend that stage. So it's adding on those 3 seconds. So in stage 1, it's doing that because of vehicles detected on the eastbound and westbound arms. And in stage 2, it's doing it with vehicles detected on the north and southbound arms. So we should end up getting a longer green times on the east and west because it has more traffic than the north and south. So it's extending to its maximum, going from the east and west. And we can see there is some extension from north and south. It's not quite getting to its maximum though. So we've seen how the script is working in the example model. And now what I want to do is see if I can take that template and get it working in a real model. And I've got that in this folder here called pre-script. So I'm going to open that model again in version 22 and have a look at that. And then we'll look at how we can bring the template in. Okay, so this model has a signal control junction at this location. It's actually a compound junction, and we can tell that because the nodes are yellow. And if I select one of the nodes and go to properties, I can see it's toggled as compound. So what that means is, although we've got 2 nodes here, it's operating as one junction because we've set the nodes to compound. And when I go to the signal editor with a right click and edit signals, I can see that it functions as one junction. And you can see the different nodes 262 and 260 being used. Now again, this junction has 2 stages, so it's got this movement as stage 1 and then the sidearm coming from the north east in stage 2. And at the moment it's working on fixed times, and we can see that there's no script in this model. Okay, so the scripts are empty. So let's go through the steps it takes to bring in the script template and get a stage extension working in this model. So the first thing to do is to add detectors on the different approaches. So to do that, I go to my add detector option in my toolbar, and then hover over the part of the junction where I want to add the detector. So let's say I want to add a couple in on the approach from the north. I want to add a couple in on my east approach, and then from the south. So I'll add those in like so. Now once I've added those, I can edit them. So I'm going to go back to my select options tool, and I can do that on the right click, which is quite handy. And then I can edit name, so we could call that North 2, and we call that North 1. We call that East 2 and East 1. And this one's South 2 and South 1. So pretty straightforward to add our detectors onto the network. Now the next step is a very simple one, and that's just to get that discovery file into the model folder here. So I'm just going to take a copy of that and put it in there. Now it doesn't have to be in this folder. You can put a path in your script to wherever this file exists, but it's quite simple just to keep it in the folder. And then the third step is to actually add the script into the model. So if I go back to my example model and go to my script, and I'm just going to grab all of the text, copy that, and go back in here. I'm going to add a new script. We'll call it vehicle extension and paste. Okay, so you can see the steps are fairly straightforward so far. And then the next step is quite straightforward as well, and that's really just updating the script to use the relevant information from my new model. So my node number, for example, is going to be different, and I can see the node number is 262 or 260, and it actually doesn't matter which one I use of those because it's a compound junction. I can use one or the other. I then need to think about my detector names. So for stage 1, it's the north and southbound detectors. So we'll say that's north 1 and south 1. Now we could then extend this to include north 2 and south 2, and I would do that simply by copying and pasting this information like so, and I need to put in another OR statement in there, and I probably need to remove one of those brackets. Okay, so we've got north 1, south 1, and then we would change these to north 2 and south 2. And then for stage 2, we're looking at the east approach, so we change that to east 1 and east 2. Okay, so that should be enough to get the script working in this model. And then I might want to think about, is there anything else that I want to change? For example, this time here. So in the previous script, it was in the last 3 seconds that the extension happened. So I might want to say, well, maybe it's 4 seconds in this particular model, or maybe it's 4 seconds from one approach and 3 from the other. So you can play around with those different values, and you can also edit the values in the discovery file as well, which it's importing. Okay, so let me close that. I'm going to save my model, and then go to my Visualize tab and refresh everything. Okay, so to get this running, I need to choose a suitable configuration. So I'm going to choose my AM period, and in my Simulate tab, I need to make sure that my script is turned on for the AM period. So I'm going to go to Script and Vehicle Extension, and if I just refresh that, it will bring the script through. So we can see that it's got a script in there now. Okay, I'm going to turn my nodes on by hitting N and selecting one. I'm going to open up my signals panel by going to Visualize and Signals. And then I'm going to start my simulation. Okay, now let's slow that down because it's going very fast. We'll go to 10. So we can see traffic in the model is loading. We've got our fixed times of 25 seconds for both of the different approaches, and what we're looking for is the vehicle or the signal extension happening when vehicles are detected, and we can see that happening in stage 1. And it's happening less often in stage 2 in this case because the traffic from the eastbound direction is very light. But we're getting that extra time on the north-south movement, and that's going to be making the junction perform more effectively and more efficiently. Okay, so hopefully you can get a sense from this example of how simple it can be to take a template from the script templates that we've provided and plug it into your own model. You could just have to make a few changes sometimes to get it running and operating really well and effectively. Now, as I said before, there's lots more to learn about scripting, which you can do by downloading tutorial 3. There's also loads of resources online about how to use Python, and so I'd encourage you to go and search those and develop your own practice in using Python and using it well in Paramics Discovery. So thank you for watching this longer video tutorial. I hope you found it interesting and useful. Please let us know. We'd really appreciate your comments and your feedback on it so we can improve these in the future. And we'll have more of these longer video tutorials coming as we go through the rest of the year to really help you learn in a little bit more depth Paramics Discovery. So thanks again for watching, and bye for now.